When you focus on yourself, you discover the power God placed inside you to change everything around you. I want you to let that sit with you for a moment, because in 2026, you are walking into a year that is not just about chasing more things, more people, more distractions, but about coming home to yourself. About finally saying, this is my time. This is my season. This is my life. I remember a time in my life when I was running everywhere, doing everything, trying to please everyone. And yet, in the middle of all that noise, I was lost. I wasn't clear about who I was, what I wanted, or what I stood for. And one day, someone looked me in the eye and said, Les, when was the last time you actually sat with yourself? When was the last time you truly focused on you? That question hit me hard, because the truth was, I was so busy pouring into others, I had nothing left for me. And I realized something. If you never stop to focus on yourself, you will spend your entire life being a background character in somebody else's movie. And I don't know about you, but in 2026, I want you to step into the role God created you for, the leading role in your own life. Take ownership of your story. See, the first step in focusing on yourself is taking ownership of your story. Too many people are walking around blaming their past, their circumstances, their family, their environment, their lack of opportunity. And listen, I'm not here to dismiss your pain. Some of you have been through storms that would have broken other people. You've been overlooked, doubted, abandoned, laughed at. You've been told you're not enough. But here's the truth. The things that tried to bury you were actually planting you. You are not a victim of your story. You are the author of your story. And the moment you take the pen back and decide, I will no longer let the past define me, I will let it refine me, is the moment your life begins to shift. I had to learn that. Growing up, I was labeled educable mentally retarded. That label could have been a prison for me. It could have been the thing I used as an excuse to stay small, to hide, to never try. But I made a decision. I said, no. This will not be the period at the end of my sentence. This will be the comma in my story. And when you focus on yourself in 2026, that's what you must do. Take all the pain, the failures, the disappointments, and instead of letting them cripple you, let them carve you into someone stronger, wiser, and bolder. Think about it. When you go to the gym, it's the resistance that builds the muscle. When life puts weight on you, it's not to break you. It's to build you. But only if you decide to own it, to rise from it, to say, this is my story, and I will not be ashamed of it. I will stand on it. I will use it as fuel. Take ownership of your story. Your story is the foundation of who you are. It is the soil where your roots grow, the canvas on which your life has been painted. And I want you to understand something very clearly. Until you take ownership of your story will own you. For too many years, I allowed my story to be defined by what others said about me. I carried the labels that society placed on my back, and I believed the whispers that said, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not capable. And I know some of you listening to me right now have been carrying labels for far too long. Labels given to you by family, by teachers, by bosses, by people who had no idea of the greatness living inside of you. When I was in school, I was labeled educable mentally retarded. That label could have been a death sentence for my dreams. Imagine a young boy being told, not just once, but repeatedly, that he wasn't smart enough to achieve, that he wasn't capable of learning like everybody else. If I had allowed that label to stick, I would not be standing here speaking to you today. But I made a choice. I said to myself, this label is not the truth. It is just somebody's opinion. And opinions are not my reality. That was the first moment I began to take ownership of my story. Taking ownership doesn't mean your past didn't happen. It doesn't mean you deny the pain, the abuse, the rejection, or the failures. It means you refuse to let those moments define who you are becoming. There are people walking around right now who are imprisoned by memories. They replay old failures, old heartbreaks, old disappointments, as if they are watching the same movie on repeat. And the more they watch it, the more it becomes real to them. But you have to decide in 2026 that you are going to stop pressing rewind on your pain. You are going to stop letting your past control your present. You are going to stand up and say, yes, it happened. Yes, it hurt. But I survived it, and because I survived it, I am stronger than I have ever been. Listen to me. Everything you've been through has prepared you for where you are now. The betrayals prepared you to recognize loyalty. The failures prepared you to value success. The dark nights prepared you to appreciate the sunrise. Nothing in your life has been wasted. Not one tear. Not one heartbreak. Not one mistake. All of it is material that God will use to build the person you are meant to become. But you can't see that if you keep hiding from your story, if you keep pretending it never happened, or worse, if you keep blaming the world for it. There's a freedom that comes when you own your story. The moment you say, this is who I am, this is what I've walked through, and this is what I've learned, the chains of shame fall off. Some of you are living under the weight of secrets. You've been afraid to admit where you've been, afraid that people will judge you, afraid they will laugh at you or walk away from you. But the truth is, your transparency will become your transformation. When you stand boldly in your story, you give others permission to do the same. And suddenly, the very thing you thought would disqualify you becomes the thing that empowers others. I want you to think about this. You cannot heal what you do not face. And you cannot face what you are unwilling to own. In 2026, it is time to stop running from yourself. It is time to sit down, look at your life with honesty, and say, this is me. These are my scars. These are my victories. These are my lessons. And I am not ashamed of any of it. That is ownership. That is power. When you take ownership of your story, you also take back the pen that writes your future. Too many people have been living a script someone else wrote for them. Their parents' fears, their friends.